Freedom, oh, freedom, oh, freedom over me and me.
The Underground Railroad was a term used to describe a network of meeting places, secret routes, passageways, and safe houses used by slaves in the United States to escape slave-holding states in the South, such as Georgia, Alabama, and Louisiana, to northern states including Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Ohio, and Canada. Although established in the early 1700s, the highest point was between 1810 and 1850, where an estimated 100,000 slaves utilized the Underground Railroad, liberating them from bondage and brutality of slavery. The Underground Railroad was comprised of several notable participants, including conductors, freed individuals who guided the slaves, station masters who owned the safe houses, and stockholders who donated money and other necessities. The escape network was not literally underground, nor it was a railroad, as many modern Americans would believe. It was figuratively underground, in the sense of being an underground resistance. It was also known as a railroad, by the way of the use of rail terminology in codes used. A great deal of work of the Underground Railroad involved a network of white abolitionists, a person who favors the abolition of a practice or institution, especially capital punishment or slavery. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there were several white Americans that aided in the rescue of hundreds of slaves, including Gerrit Smith, a millionaire who ran twice for president. In 1841, Smith purchased an entire family of slaves from Kentucky only to set them free just 24 hours later. Jonathan Walker, also a white abolitionist known as the Man with the Branded Hand, was a sea captain who became a national hero in 1844 when he was tried and sentenced as a slave stealer following his attempt to help several runaway slaves find freedom. Walker spent 1 year in prison and branded on the right hand the letters SS for slave stealer. The Fugitive Slave Act was passed by the United States Congress on September 18, 1850, to provide substantial, generous rewards for the money of runaway slaves who daringly escaped their masters or owners. Some nicknamed it Bloodhound Law, for the ferocious dogs that were used specifically to track down runaway slaves. For this reason, the Underground Railroad abruptly took on a different route: Canada. Thousands of slaves now settled in newly formed communities in southern Ontario, where slavery was illegal. Suddenly, those involved with the Underground Railroad became apprehensive and anxious, as their task now became seemingly riskier and increasingly dangerous than ever before. Now, because of the Slave Act, anyone caught abetting or assisting slaves were subject to a $1,000 fine or 6 months in prison. On January 1, 1863, then-President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, outlawing slaves in Confederate states. In 1865, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, and slavery was completely abolished in the United States, therefore was the ending of the Underground Railroad. Ladies and gentlemen, the Underground Railroad was a collective, collaborative, complex network consisting of numerous individuals dedicated to risking everything for what they believed was right and just. Freedom for all Americans. However, the most notable conductor for the Underground Railroad was Harriet Tubman.
Let's take a train ride to freedom and let Miss Moses be our guide. On a railroad that old master.
Born a slave in Dorchester County, Maryland, she was named Araminta Ross. She would later change her name to Harriet in honor of her mother, also named Harriet, and took on her husband's last name, which was Tubman. Tubman was beaten, whipped, and raped by various masters, even as a child. On September 17, 1849, Harriet escaped her Maryland plantation and traveled 90 miles north by foot and found freedom in Philadelphia, then immediately returned to Maryland to rescue her family. Nicknamed Moses, Tubman was never caught and never lost a single passenger during her trips. Although illiterate, Tubman was a praying, God-fearing Christian who traveled with a hymnal and a rifle not only for protection, but in case her passengers needed a little motivation along the way. She was also a nurse in the Civil War, as well as a spy and officially the first woman to serve in the U.S. military. So tonight, for the first time ever, on stage we present The Escape, a poignant, inspiring anthology of perseverance and determination from one of the most courageous, historic women in American history, Harriet Moses Tubman. Ladies and gentlemen, this is her story, her accounts, her chronicle of the escape.